Hello and welcome to the fifth episode of the Diplomacy Talks. In this episode, we will further decode India-Nepal relations. In the first episode, we explained how the Nepal protests led to a change in the government in the Himalayan nation. In this episode, we shall understand how the changes in the neighborhood will impact its relations with India. Close to 70 lives were lost in Nepal during the protests which happened last week, and the numbers may also go up in the coming days. Protests in the country have led to an economic loss which runs into trillions. Since Sushila Karki assumed the office of interim prime minister last week, normalcy has crawled back in the country with a sense of unusual calm. India has been cautious in its approach in dealing with the neighborhood during the chaos. On Thursday, Prime Minister Narendra Modi had a telephonic conversation with his Nepali counterpart. He condoled the loss of lives in Nepal and also hoped for an early return of peace in the country. When we look at India's economic relations with Nepal, it is interesting to note that Indian firms are amongst the largest investors in Nepal. They account for 33.5% of the total FDI stock in Nepal, worth nearly $670 million. Nepal is India's 17th largest export destination. The country has climbed up from 28th position in 2014. India constitutes 64.1% of the total trade of Nepal, comprising about $8.85 billion in US dollars for the financial year 2022-23. This includes $8.015 billion US dollars of export from India to Nepal and $839.62 million US dollar of exports from Nepal to India. India is Nepal's largest export destination, receiving 67.9% of its total exports. Exports from Nepal mainly constitute of edible oil, coffee, tea and jute. Nepal's main imports from India are petroleum products, iron and steel, cereals, vehicles and parts and machinery parts. There are about 150 Indian ventures operating in Nepal engaged in manufacturing services like banking, insurance, dry port, education and telecom, power sector and tourism industries. India is the largest development donor of Nepal, with the major portion of developmental assistance focused on large-scale infrastructure projects under grants necessary for the rapid development of Nepal in the field of priority sectors such as health, education and connectivity. Well, the most important question now is, how will India assess and maintain good relations with Nepal? Senior Congress leader and Member of Parliament from Thiruvananthapuram, Shashi Tharoor, opined that instability in Nepal poses several direct and indirect threats to India's interests. He says security is the foremost amongst all of them. When we look at the border which India and Nepal share, it is porous and can be a strategic threat for India, with an increase in smuggling, human trafficking and an increase in the activities of anti-India elements. India and Nepal share a 1,751 km long border. Nepal shares border with 5 Indian states, namely Sikkim, West Bengal, Bihar, Uttar Pradesh and Uttarakhand. What does the future behold for India-Nepal relationship? Well, India is cautious of growing influence of China in the country. Beijing has been actively engaged in Nepal through its Belt and Road Initiative (BRI) and various infrastructure projects including roads and railways. Mr. Tharoor opines that a policy of non-interference, essential to show arm's length respect for the internal affairs of a sovereign neighbor, must be balanced with a proactive yet subtle strategy to safeguard our interest and any direct intervention. India must resist the temptation to micromanage Nepal's internal politics. India must also heighten the security at borders with Nepal. Here it is important to note that Nepal army has emerged as a new player in the country's politics and played an important role in the recent protests as well. When it comes to the defense cooperation between the two countries, Nepal and India share good defense relationship. Close to 32,000 Gurkha soldiers of the Nepal serve in the Indian Army under a decades-old agreement. Armies of both the countries share excellent relationship, as I had mentioned earlier. India and Nepal have the long-standing unique tradition of awarding the rank of Honorary General to each other's Chief of Army Staff. India will have to carve a strategically strong path to maintain and sustain good relationship with Nepal. Nepal is strategically an important country. It lies between South Asian giants India and China. It is also important because of its connectivity potential, security concerns, and natural resources. India should also work on its soft power and strengthen its cultural ties with the Himalayan nation. Both the countries share age old people to people connect and are deeply rooted in traditions. New Delhi must be cautious in its approach and will also have to navigate its path to understand the sentiment of Nepali citizens, especially youth. Nepal celebrated its National Day on 19th September. Prime Minister Narendra Modi extended his greetings to Interim Prime Minister Sushila Karki in a telephonic conversation. Prime Minister pledged support for peace, progress and prosperity in Nepal. Here it is important to note that this was the first diplomatic engagement of Sushila Karki since assuming office a week before. This is a signal which Kathmandu attaches to New Delhi even in the turbulent times. Time will let us know how the relationship unfolds further. Till then, keep following Sawal That Matters for more such insightful videos, and let us know in the comments which country would you like to watch a video on in the next episode on next Saturday. Thank you.